Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Guns and Cameras podcast. Did you know that when you pull the trigger on a firearm, you set off a chain reaction that involves intense pressure, hot gas, and a lot of fire, and it all happens in the blink of an eye? And today's guest, she has found the formula for being able to capture that entire explosive event with one click of her shutter button. We're out of the range today, and while the episode is running, we're going to try to recreate that exact shot, and at the end, we'll share with you our success or our failure. But in the meantime, let's get into the episode. So without any further ado, shooters, are you ready? Stand by. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Guns and Cameras podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Best. Today we have a very special guest with us, photographer extraordinaire, Gundy's 2024 Photo of the Year winner, Alexandria Rowlen, aka Caliber.Row on Instagram and social media. Alex, thank you for being on the show with us today. Tell us about yourself.
Well, Josh, thank you for having me. I so appreciate you having me on the podcast. And I just have to say, I love this concept that you've created. I always wanted creatives to become more together, and I'm just so glad you're taking the initiative to make that happen. So I think that's really cool. That's me. So Alexandria Rowlen, also known as Caliber.Row. Most of the time, it's kind of funny when you go to my page, you don't realize that I'm a girl in the beginning. So I've gotten a lot of people in the DMs like, bro, I love that photo you've taken. Dude, that's so awesome. So it's kind of fun just to kind of be in the shadows a little bit. But I appreciate you bringing me on and taking me out of that. But a little bit about... Thank you. So a little bit about myself. I actually didn't start in the firearms industry. I actually started in the fashion industry, where I was taking portraiture and photographing models for a lot of the modeling agencies in Chicago. So I was born and raised Chicago at heart, living in the South Loop. I was right on 8th and State Street. Nice. Gene and Jude's, if my Chicago people know what that is, hot dogs go a long way. So, yeah, it's amazing. But I definitely grew up more on a rough street side for sure. So I was photographing fashion and stories and photojournalism. And it wasn't until I started working at Grunstyle that I got my start in the firearms industry, and I really had a passion for it. I grew up as a military brat, as people know. So my dad, he served, and then his side served. So it was always kind of funny. I was the only one that didn't. My mom really wanted me to go to college, so I ended up going to Columbia in Chicago. Got my bachelor's degree, fulfilled the family request, and it was a good time. But Grunstyle really opened my eyes to firearms as product and marketing development side goes. So it's been kind of a wild ride.
Had you had any exposure or experience with firearms before? I mean, military brat, you mentioned, so...
Yes. So I would always go shooting with my dad and just family friends, but nothing to the extent of what I've done today. Now I'm training every Sunday with some of the guys that I go with, and then we're also doing rucks and everything. So it's definitely changed over the years for sure.
Right on.
But from Chicago, it was really kind of hard to go shooting, especially as you guys know, with all the laws and it's just so difficult over there. It was really when I moved to Texas, I started to really train and practice the craft, I would say.
Yeah, no kidding. That's you made the right move probably for our industry for sure.
I loved it. Yeah, no regrets, awesome. No regrets.
Do you still have family back in Chicago?
I only have one or two. Most of them actually moved to Arizona, which is where I'm at now. So I've actually done 3 cross-country moves in my life in a short span. So, and every single one I don't regret. Chicago to Texas was the biggest one just because it was the first time I ever moved away from home. And then Texas to Arizona, that was probably the most satisfying because it was
Yeah.
just a beautiful time to like end the chapter and then go over to Arizona to start a new one.
Yeah.
And a lot of the firearms community actually lives out in Arizona too.
Cool. So let's talk about grunt style.
Yeah.
So that sounds to me like it was kind of a pivotal change in direction for you. So how'd you get the job? What was your first impressions? What kind of stuff were you shooting? And I mean, you were set. How long were you there for?
So I was there for about 5 years. I was in charge of the whole photography department. So at the time, there was only one photographer for all those years,
Wow.
and I basically ran that department. And then slowly, we started getting assets added to it, and it was just it was honestly the people there, the workers, like that was the best. Being in the trenches with those guys, I
Mhm.
have so much respect for everybody that has worked there just because most of them were veterans and most of them have served and have these most amazing personal stories that I admire so much. So I learned a lot, I grew a lot. And I was also, that was the first time I was away from home.
Yeah.
So we were kind of each other's family. I remember like for Thanksgiving, I had the whole grunt style at my house because
Wow.
nobody had family in Texas. And
Right.
so we were all each other's, what we had. So I got assigned crazy assignments when I was there too, jumping out of airplanes, riding Sherman tanks,
Holy
playing with
smokes.
flamethrowers. Yeah, and at the time, and still to this day, there's not really too many female photographers that are doing like what I'm doing in the field.
Hmm.
And it's not because I don't think women don't want to. I just think it's just such a unique niche to
Hmm.
get into. And so I think you really do have to have like a love and a true passion for it to keep going with it.
Yeah. So absolutely. So when you started out, so you said you started in fashion. So let's kind of just dive down just really quickly the rabbit hole of your kind of start as a photographer, right? So what was your first camera? You started in fashion, then you moved kind of fashion over into grunt style, which then opened up this whole crazy, which we're going to get into all of the gun stuff. But
I
let's
love
just
that.
start real quick. Like, what was your first camera and how did you get started with photography?
Perfect. So, I started in photography when I was 14 years old. I knew right away at 14 that I wanted to be a professional photographer, and I never changed my mind since. I remember in high school, I had this professor, his name was Mr. Hodge,
Hmm.
and till this day, I still talk to him. He was
Right on.
so impactful in my life, and he looked at one of my photos and he's like, "You have an eye." And I'm like, you really think so? Are you sure? And he's like, no, no, I see you going, I see you going places. So I don't know what it was, but he just convinced me to do it and just to go for it. So I did. I pursued it the rest of my life. So that was how I started. And then I started just becoming better and better. I first started on the Nikon, which was awesome, but it was
Nice.
the first Nikon that did video. I mean, this thing was, I still have it till this day in my
Cool.
closet. I can't part with it. I'm too like close with it to, it's too
Yeah.
sentimental.
Right.
So yeah, so, but I remember I just went and every photographer knows that first photo they take is like of the flower or the
Hmm.
ground or this tree or these leaves in this really kind of dynamic
Yep.
angle.
Yep.
Yeah, so I started that way. Then I worked my way up. I started as soon as I hit college. I was shooting for fashion modeling agencies.
Hmm.
One of the first models I ever shot was Muhammad Ali's grandson,
Wow. Cool.
Biagio.
Cool.
I met him and his mom and his dad, and they are the nicest, nicest people. Oh my gosh, they are just so humble, so nice, down to earth. So that was a beautiful experience. But that really set my goal on the fashion industry.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, and I had my own studio, started my own business right away. So I was working at a really young age.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been
So,
good.
so that grunt style position then was that a bit of a, I mean, again, we're hanging up on this a little bit, but I'm just trying to get the foundation set here. So
No, absolutely.
you're running your own thing, you're shooting fashion, you have a studio, and then you take a job at Grunt Style. So what motivated you to do that?
No, that honestly, Josh, that's a great question. So, I was at the time to keep the equipment, and like I
Hmm.
was a broke college kid, so I needed a job. So what I did was I was currently working at a camera store in Naperville,
Cool.
and it was called ProCam. They're still around today, family-owned business. If you guys ever need camera gear, I highly recommend going to them. They're
Good to know.
fantastic.
Good to know.
Yeah, and I really believe in supporting family-owned businesses and just local. So I just think it was so fun. But I worked there for a long time, and that really gave me the freedom to experiment with so many. I honestly, I've shot on every single photography system just because I had to. I had to learn everything because I was selling them every day.
Right.
So there's no camera that I can't shoot on, which is really kind of cool. And
Hmm.
then I'm a techie nerd, so if something breaks, I could fix it. But that's really where I was. And I saw this position online. It was very random.
Hmm.
And I saw Grunt Style was hiring, need photographer. And at the time, I actually wasn't too familiar with Grunt Style. I just kind of applied on a whim.
Right.
And I did some reading and some research on it, and I'm like, wow, this sounds really great. So I got called in for an interview. Like I said, it was very spontaneous. And I get called in on an interview, and I am dressed. Okay, so I had to tell you this. So I am dressed head to toe in a suit, in like blazer, heels, hair done, everything. Like I wanted to
Yep.
be so professional. I walk into a Nerf gun fight. Guys are like taking shot of Malort, and if you're from Chicago, you know what Malort is.
Yep.
It's disgusting. They were, yeah, like I saw Nerf bullets flying everywhere, and I just thought to myself, wow, like one, I was kind of shell shocked a little bit, but two,
Hmm.
I love it because I was a gamer, I was a tech nerd, so this was kind of more my environment than I thought.
Nice.
So going in, I did the interview, I got it right away. And the guy that was interviewing me, he's like, yeah, this is it.
Sweet.
So, yeah. And then I got the notice as soon as I took the job, 2 weeks later, surprise, you're moving to Texas. If you want to come with us, come with. And if not, it is what it is. So I
Wow.
did make that decision to go.
Cool. So what was that first week like? Moving to Texas, starting up a Grunt Style. Different, right? So I was just pulled
So
up their
different.
website and I'm looking at it. So it looks like you were shooting probably studio on whites, like e-commerce type stuff, but then also
Everything.
lifestyle, like
Everything.
cool.
So the more bigger the company became,
Yep.
the more intense the photo shoots became. We were shooting 6 months out in advance, and we were given a deadline of 2 weeks to get 6 months worth of content and product done.
Wow.
And and like I said, I had help from other departments, so I couldn't have done it alone. It was not all me. I had a lot of help from a lot of different departments. Just because I was the only one running the department, it didn't mean that other departments didn't come together and help. So that was really wonderful. So I thank them to this day for that. But yeah, no, it was crazy. So we would theme all of our photo shoots based on the type of content and products that were coming out.
Yeah.
And then we would clump them together. And that was how we based our shoots and the themes. So everything had to tell a story, everything had a purpose. So it was very fun.
That's awesome. And were strictly photo, or are they running video for those too, or how did I mean,
Oh yeah. So my department was strictly photo,
right.
and then there was an entire media like filled with
Man,
videographers. So different departments. I mean, there was over 14 to 16 different departments, and their own revenues too. So that was really nice.
that's so cool.
So yeah. So it's
So
crazy. Yeah, it's
so
crazy to see it.
yeah, so 5 years of just
Yeah,
grinding through that. I mean, you got to come out the other end pretty much ready to shoot just about anything.
I was.
So
It was,
that's
I
awesome.
remember having this assignment where I had to jump out of an airplane, and I told them, I've never jumped out of an airplane before. They're like, great, you're gonna be fine. And I had maybe like 2 days to prepare.
Did they put you through training? I mean, were you strapped in with somebody? Did they put you, or
I
did
was
they
stra-
just?
I was
Oh, okay.
stand-up.
I was like,
I was stand-up. There's no, oh man, there would be no way I would be jumping out of that plane. I wouldn't trust myself. But the gentleman was strapped to me. He was very, very nice, such a gentleman. I did forget to pull my chute. I'll be 100% honest. I forgot to pull it. I was so in the zone of shooting photos when I was like falling
mm-hmm.
that that's all I could think about.
Holy
So
smokes.
yeah, it was wild. It was
That's
definitely
awesome. I
wild.
hope
But
you have those printed out somewhere
I
because
do.
yeah, sweet. I was gonna say because it's on my list. I haven't skydived, but
Oh, you
it's on
should.
my list of things to do.
You definitely should.
It
It's so
would be fun.
exhilarating.
Yeah, man. But to do that, it would be so. Here's one of the things that's funny about most people can't necessarily relate to this, right? When it comes to photographers and videographers, but we get to do some really cool stuff. Case in
Yeah.
point, right? But it's always with a camera, and like you say, like when you jump out and you get into the moment where you're like, okay, I'm in the zone, and you're looking life through the lens, you're snapping pictures. You almost don't get to enjoy. Like it's not just for fun; it's also
It's
work, right? So
it's all work. Yes,
um,
absolutely.
I get that all the time because people are like, "Oh man, you must have so much fun." I'm like, "Yes, I do," but I get to do cool stuff, but it's also becomes work, and
Yes.
it'd be nice to do it just for personal enjoyment sometimes. But
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, you brought up such a good point too, because most of those shoots, like, it would be 1 to 3 day campaigns
mhm,
with nonstop. We would maybe get an hour break, 2 hour breaks. Sometimes we wouldn't eat, and it wasn't
mhm,
because anybody was like treating us poorly. It was just that's just what we had to do. Like that was our job. We had to get those
right,
shots, and the importance of getting those shots is so crucial. So, to us, like if it took 3 days to do it and outside in the wilderness, and so be it. We'll go camping and rock it out. That's
right,
kind of how we
exactly.
do it. Yeah. No, it's
Wow,
a good point.
crazy. Okay, so let's fast forward now to today, right? So
Yes.
crazy. So what are you doing now? What is kind of what's the last year look like? Kind of a big year. You won the Gundy Award for sure. Want to talk about that photo, how that happened, that relationship, right? We gotta get some
Absolutely.
backstory for that. So let's just start there. So you start out the year, Shot Show 2024. You win the Gundy of the award for the best photo of the year. Let's talk about that. What was that like?
Absolutely.
And tell us the story of this photo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was so honored just to be awarded. It was such a shock. Like I said, I was so happy just to be there and be included. So to me,
Hmm.
like just being there was an award. The people are so great too. The Will and everybody that runs it, they're so great and so talented. So when
Hmm.
I was awarded that, one was pure shock. And then the second was me walking up the stage and being like, okay, please don't trip, don't fall, don't fall. So
Right.
it's kind of funny. So I could talk to like anybody, like you put anybody in front of me and I'll talk to them. But when it comes to like stage stuff, I am terrified. I don't know why. I'm terrified to be on stage. So I was very nervous. I definitely forgot one thing that I would love to bring up here is like I did forget to thank some people, and that
Hmm.
would just was so gut wrenching to me, and it was just because I was so nervous and so scared.
Hmm.
So I was kind of blurting out what I knew and then not really thinking clearly. So it kind of ties into what the photo was and the story of it. So Adelina May, you guys know her. She's a professional shooter. She's so talented. She
Hmm.
actually owns her own fitness company. She's fantastic. I love her. She actually trained me for a long time too. So she's just a really, really good person.
Very cool.
Yeah, she's great. And so anyway, it was her concept and her idea that created that photo. And she was like, I need a photographer to shoot this. And I think you're the perfect one to shoot it. So she came over to my house and we actually shot that photo in my garage.
Right on.
Like, yeah. And I'm sure you know, Josh, like garage setups, they could be crazy. Like
Yeah, you're
just
tripping
nothing.
over stuff and you're trying to move things out of the way and you're like, "Oh my gosh," like throw up a something or whatever and yep, I know exactly what
Oh,
you're talking about.
absolutely. And that's how it was. It was nothing elaborate, but we knew exactly what kind of photos to get and how to get them. And so I lit it a certain way and it just
Hmm.
turned out to be so beautiful. And she was just such a beautiful model too. So honestly, it was just perfect all coming together. So that's how that photo was created. And I almost tied my fashion and my firearms experience into it at the same time too.
Yep.
So that was kind of fun to do more on the fashion side because I don't normally get to do that often. So that was kind of
Yeah.
cool.
So let's just kind of break this
Yeah.
picture down really quick. Let me see if I got the right one here. So I'm going to really quick, I'm just going to share the screen because I have your
Oh,
Instagram pulled
yeah.
up here. Surprise, we're going to look at your stuff. So
Okay, here we go.
let's see, entire screen. We're going to share this one. So let's pull this up. Boom. Here
Oh,
is
that looks fun.
your Instagram. So is it this one right here?
Yes, sir.
Fashion and firearms mashup of the year.
Yeah.
Concept, outfit, lighting. Break it down for us, Alex.
Absolutely. So as far as like outfit and styling goes, that's all Adelina. I give her
Cool.
all the props to that. She did, like styled herself, basically, and then so basically the lever action was provided by Ranger Point Precision. So
Cool.
big thank you to them as well. And it was a custom one done by her boyfriend. So honestly, so many hands like went into this photograph, and it was just so great to bring it all together. And then as far as lighting goes, so everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Pro Photo strobe lights.
Yep.
I love Pro Photo. It's like a notch right below brown color. So
Mm-hmm.
I am just a huge fan of it. They're very true to skin tones, very, very color accurate. There's very minimal editing that has to go into the system. So that's why I'm a fan.
Yep.
It's also very easy to use. So shockingly enough, this is only one light.
Okay.
And it's basically, so it's set up above and then pointed down 180-degree angle. And it was on a dark gray background. And that's kind of how we rocked with it.
Sweet. Really soft roll off. So
Thank
did you
you.
have modifier on it? How big?
No,
No modifier?
silver parabolic umbrella.
Okay, sweet.
I know, it's very shocking because
Very.
honestly, when I first see it, like it does look like a softbox or a beauty dish,
Yep.
but no, it's that silver parabolic. It's so massive that it's giving the coverage that I need on the whole, person. So it's kind of fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. It's great. You do a shoot like this. I'm just gonna ask. So how many photos and you picked? Are there others in this series that you haven't rolled out?
Oh yeah. So I think like in total we've probably had like about 150 that people haven't seen,
Mm-hmm.
and
Those are
then
selects, like 150 selects.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and so I do have I always overpick photos. I've delivered projects to people and they've expected maybe 15 images and I've given them 800. And I know I probably overselect, so that's my kryptonite. but
Nice.
I just love it. I don't know. I always want to give people more than they're asking for too,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to be able to use the assets for a long time.
Right on.
Thank you.
Of what is up here on your
Yeah.
Instagram right now, what's your favorite?
Ooh.
If you had to pick
Okay.
one and you were gonna print it out big, which one would, I mean, like, which one would be your favorite one, or the one you're most proud of?
Oh man. Okay, this is actually a great one. That's a great question. This is hard. So definitely Reginald with the muzzle blast shots. Those I'm just so proud of
Like one of these?
because so everybody thinks I do burst mode on the camera,
Mm-hmm.
and my trick is I single shot it.
Wow.
Like that's like a one click. That's it.
Yep.
So there is no burst mode with me. I do not operate like that in the
Mm-hmm.
camera. It will most of the time miss the brass flying, or it'll make it blurry. So
Yep.
that's something that is a little trick that if y'all want to go try it, I recommend doing to get a clearer and sharper image of the brass and the muzzle blast
Yep.
shots.
That's a smart approach to it because,
Thank you.
yeah, a lot of
You have
times,
to, yeah, you have to know your subject. You have to anticipate their shots and their movements. You have to get to know them. You have to talk to them. And you have to trust your gut and your instinct. This is just me like anticipating his shot.
yep.
And I most of the time I'll let my models do their own thing. I'll tell them like you're at the range, this is your time, go run and gun and go train, go do what you need to do, and then I'll be here to capture it. And of course, we do it safely. I'm not gonna put myself in front and flag myself while he's going live.
Right.
But so just PSA to all those people, don't do that. But also get creative with it. Get creative with your angles.
Yeah.
And yeah, and don't be afraid to do something different. But I would definitely say the muzzle blast shots. I would definitely, honestly, the top right one with a, so I worked with a SWAT company. It really meant a lot to me too because it's one is close to home, and two, I love bringing awareness to the men that put their lives out for us every single day.
Yeah.
So any assets that I can create for them and show the community and show people what they're doing is huge for me. I want to tell people stories. And so doing this project meant a great deal. Tim, he's actually one of the main guys, a part of that SWAT unit. He's actually my neighbor.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know what stars aligned, but him and his wife are probably the best neighbors and friends that I could ever have and hope for. So he had given me the pleasure to attend this, and we've just actually been working together ever since and doing projects like this. So
Right on.
it definitely means a lot. That's one of my favorites for sure. And then most of my favorites, shockingly, I have not posted because I cannot post at the moment. So a lot of it goes to companies and brands that I'm shooting for. And
Hmm.
as you know, Josh, I know you know that there's deadlines on those, and also you can't post it yet. You
Yep.
have to wait until the release, and so most of my favorites aren't in there.
Right
But
on.
every single photo that I have posted holds a very, very special place in my heart. I am very meticulous on what I do post. I do not post on a whim. I think everything through of what I'm actually posting. So that's the cool part.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is something that, again, this is why we're doing a podcast like this, is because there's a couple of things you mentioned while you were talking about this that are
Mhm.
important and are things that aren't fully realized by the consumers of the content we create.
Yeah.
One, that is safety, right? That you kind of have. I had a guy call me the other day, content creator based out of, I think, Chicago, so your stomping grounds.
Nice.
And he was wanting to get some tips on how to enter into content creation, photo, video for gun companies, two-way stuff. And I kind of told him, I'm like, look, you have to, you know, our industry is very different and a lot more complex than just about any other industry when it comes to
Yeah.
content, right? Photo and video. Because there is a safety element, there's a trust element, right?
Yeah.
Because I you train, right? I train, not, and what we're talking about training is I'm assuming run guns, right?
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
because it's
As
important,
you can
right?
tell, Josh, over here,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I have like a
hey
plethora of
guys,
collections.
it's welcome to Guns and Cameras, right? It's
Just
important
cameras.
to me, and I'm sure it's important to you, right? One, we want to be safe, we want to be professional. It's important to understand the environment that we shoot in. Um, and again, you really don't get second chances, right? Especially if you're working with law enforcement, right? Because yes, I agree. We want to support those guys, but you also want to be able to represent them correctly. And if
Yes.
you go onto a range with a SWAT team and you're shooting live fire drills and you screw up and you're in the wrong place, it's kind of like, hey, you're a liability, not an asset, and you get ejected.
Absolutely.
And your reputation in this industry is important, right?
Yes.
And so that is something that people don't necessarily realize. It's like, yeah, we get to shoot guns, it's super fun, but we've invested a lot of time, effort, and energy into making sure that to get those photos, we're safe, we're professional,
Yes.
and we understand, right? Yeah, because it's kind of, you don't, there's not a lot of second chances, right, when you're shooting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not in our field.
Nope. So let's talk about guns and cameras, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
guns and cameras. So, what are you running right now? What's your kit? What's in your camera bag? And then what's in your gun bag?
Perfect. Okay, so y'all are gonna laugh at me for this. So I'm on an old camera system. I'm on a 5D Mark III, 5D Mark IV. I was
Oh.
running with an R5 for a while, but mine actually had the overheating issues,
Hmm.
so I had to send it back. So in the meantime, I've been rocking a 5D Mark IV, 70 to 200 2A version 2 lens
Sweet.
with image stabilization, a 24 to 105 f4, and that is my kit. And then Profoto strobe lights.
Sweet.
So I have the B1Xs, the B1s, and then thanks to my really good friend Ryan, RBMC Media, he actually recommended some of the continuous lights to get. So I actually just picked up some continuous lights too. But really, my kit is small. It's not extravagant.
Nice. Which continuous did you go with?
You know what? It's amazing. So I actually forgot the name of it, which sounds so terrible. I probably should definitely know that. But it's one of those. So it was on B&H, and for some reason it gives like the most beautiful soft tone, warm tones, and it's very soft. And I needed something a little bit on the softer side because everything I have is so contrasty and intense. So, which I love, but I kind of want to change up my tones a little bit. So I think this will be kind of a nice addition. But I'll definitely find out it for you and drop a link
Yeah,
because
that'd
it's
be
very
awesome.
good. I recommend it to everybody.
That'd be awesome. So you're rocking
Yeah.
the Canons,
Yes.
old 5Ds. I like the 5Ds. I ran 5D Mark IIs and the Mark
Oh
IIIs
yeah.
for a while. Great cameras. Love them.
They're beautiful. Their color profiles are insane, and it's so true. Like, so I rock with Canon because it stays true to skin tone.
Yep.
So I love that, but for what I'm doing and what I'm needing, I have actually been severely considering Sony, and I'm so torn.
That's
I don't
interesting.
know.
So why?
Yeah,
Why are you considering Sony?
because honestly, I need the lightweight, I need the travel, and I also need the video low light capabilities, which R5 is very good. Canon R5 is very, very good. But Sony is progressing a little bit quicker and a little bit better in that realm. So I have noticed the change.
Yeah.
I just have to ask myself if I'm ready for that change. So,
Yeah. No, I like Canon. I started out on Canon. That's where the camera system I started on. Shot on Nikon, right? Shot on all of
that's
them.
so cool.
Ended up with Sony because when I decided to start really buying and investing in my own gear, because a lot of the shops I was working for had their own camera systems, and so I just run whatever they
Yeah.
had. But I'm a photo and video guy, right? So I
Yep.
split kind of 50-50 or 70-30, with video being the primary. But Sony
Yeah.
was the answer to my problem with the video, right? Because at the time when I was shopping cameras, Canon had just started rolling out the mirrorless. Sony had kind of been there for a little while already and had the best option. So that was what kept me into Sony. And of course now I'm pretty well committed. But
Yeah.
camera wise, right? And it's nice because right now I actually was shopping 5Ds because you can get back into a 5D platform for not a lot of money right now, and they still shoot great
Oh,
photos.
they're doing great. They're doing absolutely great, especially with the rebates right
Yep.
now. If I had the best of both worlds and no money limit, I would get both systems,
Oh
honestly,
yeah,
because both
definitely.
systems, like, they do great jobs for different things. And like you said, Sony's for like the video side. So I shoot video. I'm getting more into video on the side of things, but that means, okay, I need to get the equipment to support that, right?
Cool, cool.
So that's kind of where I'm tying myself into. I'll probably always stick with Canon because I just love it too much.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's where it's at.
All right, sweet. This episode has been brought to you by 1156 Productions and Tokens of Valor. If you're looking for what?
Is it true that Tokens of Valor jewelry is made out of real brass casings?
Yes, it is.
Like this?
Just like that. But if you're looking for quality handmade silversmithing work that's going to set you apart from all the other guys at the range, that is made out of real brass, look up Tokens of Valor, aka me. I'm Tokens of Valor. I do it. I make it. I do a lot of things. Anyway, thanks for hanging out for this episode. We're still out here at the range trying to capture the elusive explosive gas shot that we talked about at the intro. So far, we're coming up short. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Let's get back into the episode. We got camera bag covered, right? What's in the gun
Yes,
bag?
sir.
What's your
Absolutely.
go-to?
So right now, I just got me a Sig P320 Spectracom Blackout,
Nice.
and I love it.
Very cool.
That thing shoots like it's kind of on my wall. I'll turn it over here.
Yeah.
So That thing shoots like butter. I love it. I put Viridian optics on it as well, so they have beautiful green dot system.
Hmm.
I also have a Glock 43X and then a POF Rogue series up on top with Vortex optics. I am a happy lady
Yep.
with my setup. And then obviously I have two kits that I'm still building out, and
Hmm.
then long rifles. I mean, oh my gosh, it's just crazy. And obviously, as you know, once you get one, then you have to get many.
Uh-huh.
So the collection never stops.
That's true.
Absolutely. And then recently I was just given a Ross Martin pistol as well.
Nice.
I'm excited because I haven't shot it yet, and I am just very, very much looking forward to shooting it. So,
Cool.
range days, that will be taken out for range days.
Awesome. Yeah. So one of the what do you call it? Oh, geez, words are hard sometimes. What is it? One of the perks. There it is. I got it. One of the perks
Yeah.
of what we do is that we get to shoot some pretty cool guns. Yes, cameras obviously are fun, but we get to run some pretty cool weapon platforms. So, of the
Yes.
weapon platforms you've been able to shoot, what has been the craziest one, and
Ooh.
why is it your favorite?
One of the favorite ones I ever shot, honestly, was probably a Gatling gun, just
Like
because,
an old
like,
school, like crank, like Civil War Gatling gun, like the
yep.
crank. Okay.
Yeah, so where I was in Texas, and we were on a photo shoot, and we actually had to get the live rounds coming out for one of our campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So where it was Drive Tanks. Spencer is the owner of Drive Tanks. I highly recommend going.
Mm-hmm.
We will definitely attach a link because I love this place.
Yep. We'll shout them out for
Um,
sure.
Oh, absolutely. They're just great guys. But anyway, they were nice enough to let me shoot it. Also, they let me shoot a 50 cal, a flamethrower, and they're like, "Hey, you want to ride this this Sherman tank real quick?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do." So, we shot mortars.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Mortars. So I have had some good times with that. They also have a zoo. They have a sanctuary for animals there, which is really
That's
lovely.
awesome.
So it was just an amazing experience. That's also one of the years, the year previously, where the Gundy Awards was held as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fun. You can't have a bad day there. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know why people rip on the gun industry so much because it really is like one of the best places. Like it's the most fun ever, right? Some of the
yeah,
stuff we get to do.
yeah. Well, you bring up a good point. So I kind of lived in both worlds.
Hmm.
So right, like, because I grew up in Chicago and I was raised. So everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh," but like in Chicago, you were raised very, very liberal
Hmm.
because but that is all you know. That is all that you were taught.
Hmm.
You don't know anything else because everybody is kind of afraid to get the knowledge and the experience.
Hmm.
And so really like I kind of loved it because at the same time it allowed me to venture out and to get best of the both worlds from Chicago and Texas and to really like see which side I like better. And it's not really sides, it's just education.
Hmm.
You have to educate yourself with firearms because you're going to feel more comfortable with it and then less afraid of it.
Hmm.
It's very intimidating when you don't know. And so I think that's very important just to always do it the right way, always get the proper training. Don't let it really intimidate you. Just get the education and the proper knowledge about it. And then if you don't know something, don't pretend that you know. Just ask, like, hey, you know what? I want to learn. Teach me. And it's okay.
Hmm.
Nobody's gonna judge you for it. Nobody's gonna think anything less of you. Like I ask, there's so many things to this day that I don't know,
Hmm.
and I'm not gonna pretend that I'm this great shooter or this great shot. I'm not.
Hmm.
Like I'm still training. So
Yep.
that's one thing is you can always become better in your craft.
Hmm.
And the day that you think that you can't is that's when you're going to stop learning.
Yep.
And that's not a good day.
Yeah. Always got to be a student for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay, guns and cameras covered. Check. We got that.
Yes, sir.
Um, what has been, so we're going to move on to these last. These are kind of some exciting questions. So relationships. What's kind of been the biggest celebrity or personality that you've been able to work with in the gun space to date?
Oh, this is a good question. Okay, so I made a list because want to give everybody proper recognition. I probably have left out names, so I apologize in advance. So everybody calls me Dory from Finding Nemo because I don't have a good memory, and
Gotcha.
it's not. So I have a lot of learning disabilities, and I almost feel like you kind of have to be in this industry.
Yep.
So
Most
especially for what
creatives.
we do.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I have a lot of learning disabilities. I'm definitely on the spectrum. I definitely have dyslexia. I'm not good at math. It's just yeah, I'm a mix. So
Right on.
I have to write a lot of things down. So all right. So biggest projects and people to date. So I listed. So I've been in Vogue. The Chive was really really fun to work with.
Cool.
So they were really great. Also in this industry, basically we did a project with Kyle Rittenhouse
Mm-hmm.
for Maxim. We were working with Grantham, Demolition Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
My good friend April Nicole
Mm-hmm.
Rose from Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing, such a wonderful, wonderful woman,
Yep.
and just a beautiful soul. So she's been great. Ashton, Ambi Tactical,
Mm-hmm.
I shoot with him every month. There's so many people, especially just like, and then just the core like group. It's just really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never one to seclude people from groups too. So if anybody ever wants to go shooting with us, like come on down, or we won't bite. Like we're cool. I want everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a big name was Tackass,
Mm-hmm.
but they are, as you guys know, they work on the Call of Duty
Mm-hmm.
campaigns too, and then so working with them was probably the highlight of my year. It was definitely one on the bucket list, and I was just so honored just to be invited on one of the shoots.
Very cool.
We worked on the Springfield Echelon release, so it was very very fun. I'm still excited, honestly, from that shoot.
Has that stuff rolled out? So
Yes, it did.
yep.
Yeah, it's all released. It's all approved, released.
Awesome.
It's been published in magazines too, which is really
Mm.
cool. So I just want to give a huge shout out to that crew because they really know what they're doing. They're very professional and they work very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very hard on
Yeah.
campaigns. It's a run and gun teamwork.
It shows, right? The content's
Yeah.
always fabulous. So
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And then there's just so many people like Adelina May and
mm-hmm.
like Valley Operations Group. We do a lot of work together with them. Tim and all the SWAT guys. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like the list just goes down. So like I said, I'm sure there's so many more that I can name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard to do the whole list.
Right. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Yeah. I get it. I get it.
I know, but you've been doing some really big projects too. I see you. I saw you. It's like SHOT Show too. I saw you running and gunning at SHOT Show. I saw you just doing a whole bunch of stuff too. And then your video work has just been beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to give you a shout out as
Thank
well
you.
because
I
you
try.
deserve that.
I try. It's tough being in the Pacific Northwest. I am in a lot of ways jealous of you and all the people that get to be down south because
Oh, come on down.
oh my
Everybody else
gosh.
is moving here,
Yeah, well
so
it
come
seems like,
on
yeah, it seems like everybody's Washington is a hot
down.
mess.
Yeah, I've heard.
It wasn't so bad because I live in Eastern Washington. I'm right, like, just 15 minutes from Idaho, right? And
Nice.
so it's unbearable because you can just see there's the
Yeah,
line, right? The line's right there.
yeah,
And freedom is on the other side of that line, which is frustrating. Which brings
yes,
up kind of a fun point to talk about in this industry of ours, right? Is that how
yeah.
much we're controlled and manipulated by government. I don't want to unpack government, right? I don't want to do that
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
we'll be here for 5 hours. But it is again. I was explaining this to the buddy that I was asking about working in the 2A space, right? You
yeah.
do phenomenal work, right? Like easily
Thank you.
some of the best. I mean, as far as skill level goes for photographers, right? You're definitely up there, and
Thank
your work does not get the same abilities to be promoted
Oh yeah,
as
no.
others, right? So that's one thing that we again perks, right? The perks outweigh the negatives. One of the perks is we get to live our life the way we want to live it. We get to have fun
Yeah,
and do really cool stuff. The perk of that is the audience we get to show it to is much more small.
Yes.
But we don't have to unpack that right now. But thank you. I would love to not be in Washington. It's on the list of things to change. But moving on. So
I get that.
let's see. Let's hit. What's been your biggest project? Like, if you could think of scale, whether it's your role in it, what's kind of been the biggest piece of work you've done to date?
One of the bigger pieces is we actually just did a video shoot for Viridian Optics,
Sweet.
and so that was actually really fun because I got to direct the whole set, which was really awesome.
That's awesome.
I've been a director on set for some shoots, which is a great and honorable feeling, but it's also a weird feeling because I'm so used to shooting,
Hmm.
and it's weird taking a step back and kind of like letting other people go in and do it. But I love
So,
that.
question I'm going to ask you right now,
Yeah.
director style, are you a hey, scoot over, give me the camera, let me do it kind, or are you the kind that's able to stand back and be like, change this?
So I'm a weird one. I will shoot with you. And so I
Ah,
want you shooting, and I will also be shooting too. And if there is anything that you want to suggest or also have like ideas, I'm always open to that.
nice.
And also like if you see something that I want to know the things that I don't see.
Cool.
So I want you to tell me that. And so working with other creators, I definitely respect their craft. A lot of video guys, I've been working with a lot of creatives out here
Hmm.
in our industry, and I let them do their thing. I'm not going to be the one to tell someone how to do their job. I just want to work with you so we can make something awesome together. And that's just kind of what I want. And so for me, I always want my sets to be fun.
Hmm.
I always want my sets to be professional and safe, but also just at the end of the day, like we're all trying to do the same goal. We're trying to get the same achievement, right? So
Yep.
might as well work together.
Right. I think that's
Yeah.
something that is kind of it's been interesting to see change in the last couple of years with the gun industry in
Yes.
particular, right? Has been this idea that hey, we're all in the same industry, we're all dealing with the same crap, and
Yeah.
we all have to. It would be better to work together and collaborate because that's our only way of being able to promote, right?
No,
When it
it's
comes to
true. It's
advertising and
true.
marketing, collaboration is key. If you try to go it alone and do the lone wolf thing, you're not going to be as successful as the brands that are
No.
willing to put all that aside and say, "Hey, let's team up and get our stuff out there," right?
Yeah, no, it's true. Teamwork is the answer.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's true. So this whole, so I understand that our industry is very small and
Hmm.
it's smaller than a lot of people think.
Hmm.
It's everybody think the firearms industry is huge. It's really not. We all know each other.
Hmm.
We all talk to each other, right?
Yep.
So why not work together instead of throwing each other under the bus or trying to get gigs from one? It just doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. Like to me, it never made sense.
Yeah, you
So
got to play it nice with the other kids in the sandbox because it's not a very big sandbox.
yeah, and to me, like that's just more that's fun. That's more like that's what I want anyways. I want everybody together. So I was joking with a friend the other day and I'm like, what would happen if we did a project where every single firearms creative came together and what would that project look like? And how crazy would that be?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
crazy.
right? And it's
No,
not unattainable. We can do it.
no, that'd be cool. We should
Hmm.
definitely. I think that'd be something. It'd be kind of neat to be able to. Again, the Gundy Awards is kind of done. Like Will and the Forge Relations crew have kind of
Yeah.
pioneered that to help promote creatives in the gun industry, right? But it'd be
Oh,
kind
I
of
love
neat to
it.
be able to put together some sort of I don't know, like up here in the advertising world, up in the Northwest, we did the what we call it, the creative camp out, right? Which is basically
Oh, that'd be
all of
awesome.
the different marketing teams or creative teams from all the different ad agencies or whatever. We'd go out and spend a weekend in the woods and just party
Yep.
and have a good time and do games and do like creative challenges. Doing something like that would be super fun. Um, I don't want
That'd
to
be
sign
cool.
up. I will helpfully pioneer and help, but it would be a team effort. So I'm not going to say we're going to do it, but it would be a cool idea and
No, I love that
we should
idea.
definitely talk about it.
Even like range days. I've like what I've done in the past is I would put on range
Yep.
days. We just had one not too long ago, and we had about a 50-person turnout,
Sweet.
and it was supposed to be 8 people. So
Yeah.
it kind of grew into this wonderful thing. But I think we just want to feel a part of like the community,
Hmm.
and that's honestly not even just us. That's just what any firearms enthusiast wants to feel. They want to feel a part of something.
Yeah.
and a sense of like just camaraderie, you know? So I think putting on those events and making things happen like that are really important, and it makes people feel good. I remember doing so many grunt style shoots, and the shoots we would put on, like I had veterans come up to us and thank us just because it felt good to be in like a group again.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I'm a fan. If you want to put it on, if like whatever you want to do,
We'll
I
see.
support.
We'll see.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool. And again,
Hmm.
like you doing workshops, right? Because going back to always being a student, right? There's always
Yeah.
something else to learn. Everybody has a different eye, right? Whether it's lighting, right? Studio, lifestyle, right? On
Yeah.
fig, off fig, stage, like whatever. There's all these different techniques, and everybody has a strength.
Yeah.
And to be able to kind of collaborate in some of that stuff, even just to be able to sit down and listen to somebody talk about, again, like what we're doing right here, where you get to share pieces of wisdom of some of your experience, right? Brag about
Yeah.
yourself a little bit, right? Like, it's important, right? It's good for us to be able to do that and celebrate the fact that there is a very unique and very small group of people who are
Yeah.
trying to support the firearms industry, the people in it, and doing it with media at a high level, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. So let's move on. So this is the big one. This is kind of like the coolest question that I kind of want to make it be the big deal for the Guns and Camera podcast. Is what we're going to promote
I'm
with it.
excited.
This is going to be the oh shit moment, right? Can be good, could be bad, right? Could be either, could be both. What has been your biggest oh shit moment in your career to date?
So that is a great question. And thank you for putting that together.
You're welcome.
So I have two. I have a good one, I have a bad
All
one.
right.
All right. So we'll start with the bad. And it was more of a learning experience more than anything. And it actually ties in beautifully to safety.
Awesome.
When I first started, I was photographing this gentleman that was shooting on the range, and we were doing drills and demos and everything like that. And one of them was basically practicing with a vehicle. And so what we had to do is we had to shoot through the vehicle, and it was an amazing shot to this day. Like I still have this photo, and I'm very grateful that I'm still here to tell you about this photo.
Okay.
But I made the mistake, and this is entirely my fault. I did cross that 180 line, so I did go in front. I did get flagged, and then obviously he was so engulfed in shooting that what happened was just a little brass went into the glass of the vehicle, and then the glass like ricocheted and went into my eyeball.
Oh no.
And it was through my eye pro, by the way. So I had eyes and ears.
Okay.
Everything was okay and properly done, obviously, but I went a little too far and it ricocheted in my eye. Luckily, there was no damage to my eye. I did go to the hospital, but that really taught me that no matter how in the zone I'm in shooting, because I know a lot of creatives, they'll get wrapped up in that moment for the shot and they'll do anything that they can for the shot, and I
Yep.
respect them for that. But you do still have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to know what's going on. You have to have 10 eyes instead of two pairs. I'm telling you, because it's so important. So many things can go wrong.
Yep.
So that was my learning experience. I'm very happy that it wasn't worse,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely taught me like this is no joke.
Yeah. Wow, that's intense.
Oh yeah.
I feel how you felt in that moment because yes, that's the only one you
We
usually have once.
Yes, and that is something too. Like I've never had an issue on set ever again after that. I have always been like I told you, safety briefs galore. Like I'm a huge fan of safety briefs. Plus they're fun. and, but yeah, so it was definitely a learning curve. The best oh shit moment is probably winning the Gundy
Winning the
Award.
Gundy
Just
Award.
yeah, it was so shocking and surprising, and I was so honored and humbled by that. And it actually was a huge moment, honestly, just because, like I said, not too many women have like do this profession, but then also like getting awarded for just my work, just being seen for my work and not judged on like me being a female. So that was
Yeah.
actually really, really nice. And that's also why I kind of hide. Like, I'm not like ashamed to be a woman, so don't think that. I love that. It's more, I don't want people to judge me either way,
Right.
a guy or a girl. I want them just to judge my work.
Yep.
So I don't really post myself and I don't really do those things. So it was a huge it was a huge accomplishment, just that moment. So that was really cool. Plus, we don't have many things in our like firearms industry to give creatives recognition. So
Yep, very true.
it's the Gundy, yeah. So Gundy's like coming together and being created. It feels just so nice to for all the creatives to be together one night and for everyone to be seen. That was just the coolest part.
Yeah, I mean, if you okay, so I'm gonna break the fourth wall and be like, if you're watching this and you're a creative that hasn't had the opportunity to either attend or go to the Gundy Awards, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Being able to go, like you said, uh, we a lot of times small communities, small industry, we're very spread out, and everybody has their network. But to be able to, the energy in that room was very cool, right?
It's very cool.
And to be able to feed off that and be like, hey, you're surrounded by like-minded creative people who are all in the same industry who want to celebrate each other. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And definitely gives you motivation to want to work harder. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nice to have something to work towards, right? Because in our industry, a lot of times you just feel like, man, like you could. That's one of the tough things is you could have one of the best photos of your life and you post it
Yeah.
and nobody sees it, and you're just like,
Yeah.
frick, why do I do this, right?
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
Gundy's big props for that, and
No, it's
congratulations.
true. I think you also have to have a huge love for what you do because that's what's going to keep you going too. I think a lot of people that don't have that, they will get burnt out quicker.
Yeah,
And then they will eventually like sometimes you do have to take a break. Sometimes you do have to take a step back, and that's okay too. Whatever is best for like people, always like go with what's best for yourself.
yeah,
But this industry like it's not easy. It's not. And but the rewards that it brings is so great.
yeah,
And just the people are so great.
yeah.
So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, for me, I'm a relationship guy. That's what keeps me in it, right? Is the people.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, the work is, and especially for social, like a lot of the content we create is for social media campaigns, and it gets, the
Yeah.
energy and time, and it just gets consumed, and it's on to the next project, right?
Yes.
So speaking of that,
Yes.
what is coming up next for you? What are you looking forward to for the rest of this year? Um, Take it away.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for asking that question. I'm just excited. So here we go. So I have Rux planned with the boys, but
Mhm.
also we're creating content out of that, which is going to be really important just to show the grueling side.
Right on.
I'm going to the border with the boys. That's going to be a very big project. That's going to take some time.
Mm.
Things have to go through regulations for that first, but we're pretty close. Once we get the green light, we're going down and we're documenting it.
Wow,
So
that's
that's
going to be
going to be really
huge.
great. That's going to be very huge. I really, really, my goal for this year is I want to photograph things that tell more of a story,
Mhm.
more of current events, and also just real things that are going on. I've always been so heavily focused in product photography for brand marketing, and I want to take those products and support those brands by just putting them in realistic situations, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's my goal just for in general with any project that I have coming up. And then also I have gun competitions coming up as well locally in Arizona, also some in Texas. So a lot of travel is going to be coming. I also have to go to Canada,
Oh, nice.
so that's also really fun. And the beautiful just being on these campaigns is so great and so awesome. They are like pretty on the down low for right now, so I can't divulge in too many details. But as you know, like I'm sure,
Yep.
but when it's coming out, like it's just fun. And then obviously once I get the green light, I'll post and you guys will hear about it. But I'm just really excited to keep being a part of this community and just being able to make this art and these photos for brands and people. So it's just been really awesome.
That's awesome. I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm just very thankful. So it's cool.
So, I mean, not that you have any shortage of work, but if somebody is watching this and does want to get a hold of you and maybe bring you on for some projects, what is the best way for people to reach you that you're
Yeah,
willing to share?
absolutely. So yeah, go to my Instagram. It's Caliber.Row. And just make sure you do the period right in the middle of the R and the other R, just because some people forget that. Or you can email me at caliberrow.com or at gmail.com. And then also go to my website at alexandriarowlen.com.
Cool. And then last but not least, who in your group should Guns and Cameras reach out to next?
You should reach out to Ryan from RBMT Media. He is awesome, so talented, also just like really, really good podcast voice. And I feel like he has so much knowledge and experience to share and so many great stories. I feel like he would just be a character to have, like a really, really good source. So
Sounds awesome. We'll reach out. You're going to have to maybe be an ambassador for me. I mean, I'll reach out, but
I'm for it.
yeah, ambassador. Okay, and then one really quick last question, just for just for shits and giggles, really, is any piece of advice you could offer to somebody who is up and coming, just starting out in guns and cameras industry? What is something you wish somebody told you when you were just starting out?
That is a great question. All right, so no matter what, you're going to get rejection. You are going to get rejected. You're going to be told no. And I don't want you to feel discouraged, and I don't want you to feel like you're a failure. You're not. I have been rejected more times than I can count, but you have to keep going. You have to keep shooting. And the more you shoot, the better you will become in your craft. Constantly network with people, bring people together in your community, and also just don't be afraid to reach out into someone's messages or just ask, like, you know what, hey, I'm just starting out. I would love to tag along on one of your shoots. Would that be okay with you? The worst they could say is no, and ask somebody else. Don't be afraid of putting yourself out there, because I promise you, it basically ricochets, right? So once you put yourself out, somebody's going to talk to their friends, and they're going to talk to their friends, and then you're going to grow. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. Alex, thank you so much for your time, for telling us stories, for taking us through your work. It's outstanding. And we can't wait to see what more you have coming in the future. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh. This has been amazing, and I'm so excited to see you grow with this. This is going to be so great.
Thanks. We'll see. Who knows?
You got this.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Guns and Cameras, the podcast with Josh, your host, and Alexandria Rowlen.
Hello.
AKA Caliber.Row. It's been an awesome time. If you want to see the full unedited version of this podcast, be sure to go to grayhive.com. Otherwise, check us out on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We're just starting out. It's one of the first 5, but it's been a good time. So thank you so much, Alex. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Well, we weren't exactly able to recreate that exact shot, at least not to the specifications of Alexandria. So, I mean, here's some of our examples. We're gonna have to try again next time. But that was a great episode. Huge thank you to Alexandria, AKA Caliber.Row. Stoked to have her as the first guest. We got a lot more exciting guests coming in future episodes, so be sure to stay tuned. Like, subscribe, follow us on all of our platforms, which will be listed right here. And yeah, this is Guns and Cameras. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.